Is to the streets, is to the mother effing streets. It's your homeboy Low finna go, and I'm back with another episode of Fast and Furious interviews. On today's show, ladies and gentlemen, we got a very special guest in the building. So, Rap Star, why don't you tell the people who you are and where you from?
What's up, everybody? How's everybody's evening or day? Hey, yo, my name is Rap Starr. I come from Pittsburgh, PA, East Coast to the fullest. You know what it is, man. The 412, man.
A lot of people don't know that you got a family full of musical people that's been in the background lifting you up to be the rap star that you are today, man. Why don't you tell the people about your mom, your pops, and how they got you into this whole entire situation?
Yeah, man. My father, he's the one that actually got me into hip hop. My mom, she didn't really have too much to do with it, but the fact that she was employed at two Pittsburgh prominent radio stations in the 90s, it helped. Being around, she worked in the news department. She worked at a place called Whammo. At the time, she was working for Sheridan Broadcasting Network. That was like the news side of that radio publication. And she also used to work at WCXJ, another prominent radio station that was back in the 90s. My father, just imagine, being like, it's like 1996, 1997, and you riding shotgun with your father in his Cadillac. You laid back. It's like summertime. It's like 99 degrees outside. Your dad got the AC blowing, but you got the leather seats in the back burning your skin, and the seat belt burning you and everything. And it's the high 90s. The fact that you could look down the street and see the heat waves. And then all of a sudden, your dad playing Cool in the Gang, Summer Madness. He's playing Bone Thugs and Harmony. He's playing, Snoop. He's playing Dre. He's playing LL Cool J. He's playing DMX. He's playing Nas. So early on, my father, he always brought me into hip hop. As far as other people in my family, like my nana, my great grandmother, I remember being like early, being over there and them playing the radio from the oldies, the goodies stations, that played 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, the doo-wops all the way into the funk era, so I was always around music my whole life. I even remember being like, 5 years old, listening to a radio station called WJJJ that played smooth jazz and, smooth R&B. So you would have them playing Kenny G on one song, and then right next you have Janet Jackson's Come Back to Me playing. So I was always around music and around the radio and the media. My stepfather too, RIP to my stepfather. He also worked at an all-talk radio station. So ever since I was like a kid, I was just around the media.
Okay, so you said that your stepfather and your father and your mother also worked for the radio station.
Nah, not my father. It wasn't my father. My father, he did other things, but he was just the one that actually brought me into hip hop. It was my mother that worked in the radio station and my stepfather that worked in the radio station. But my father's the one that actually brought me to hip hop.
How old was you when your parents divorced?
They never married. They had me when I was like, they was together for 2 years, and then they broke up when I was 3. And it really wasn't no big deal to me. Like other parents, like other kids, have a dream of their parents reconciling and being together forever. But I really never had those thoughts and those feelings because it's like I never not seen my father around. My dad was very instrumental in me growing up. Even till now, he lives like literally like 2 minutes away from me. Like I'm seeing him tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So it really didn't bother me too much. Now my mom, she got married to my stepfather. He was cool until they divorced, and the only thing that was hard about me about the divorce was the move. You being around a place and being around a school for so long, and everybody that you knew, and you living in the inner cities, and then the mom gets a divorce from your stepfather, and then it's just you and her, and then y'all move to a different place where nobody knows you. You gotta make new friends, and new beef comes. People just don't like you because you're the new kid, and you gotta start all over and everything. But I think that was normal for any kid who has to move out of a situation where they're living at a different place, no matter if it's through divorce or through anything else. Like if your parents had a job opportunity or you lived in the military, you was constantly moving around. You would have those issues too. So it wasn't really the fact that my parents split, because to be honest with you, I was kind of too young. I mean, I remember my father and my mom being together, but I didn't really remember those experiences, you know, uh, of them, me, him, and her all together, because it was just me, my father, my mother, and my older sister, which my older sister and I have different dads, same mothers. And my father, he remarried as well. My stepmom, shout out to Tina, she had my little sister, Ariel. So I got two sisters. I'm the only boy. So,
All right, let me ask you this: who you married first, your mom or your dad?
well, actually, here's the funny thing. Both of them was married before each other. My father was married to a woman before he met my mother, and my mom was married to my sister's father um, when they conceived my older sister. And then they divorced a year later, and then 8 years later, my mom had me, with my father. So my mom, she married first. I want to say, yeah, she did. Because my stepfather came in my life, I want to say around like when I was 7, and then my stepmother, she came in my life when I was around 10 or 11, maybe even early, maybe like around 9 or 10, because my little sister was born when I was 11. We're 11 years apart. So um, my mom, she remarried, and she also got a divorce from my stepfather 5 years later. And then my dad and my stepmom are still together even to this day. Like I said, they live 2 minutes away from me.
Wow, man, what do you think about the fact that Kevin Samuels? You know what I'm saying? You know about Kevin Samuels?
Yeah, my father was a big a supporter of Kevin Samuels. You pretty close. What Kevin Samuels is, what he got to understand, RP to him. I didn't really agree with everything that he said. I understand some of the things that he's saying, but a lot of the joints that he was saying, I really didn't disagree. I think he's generalizing certain individuals, and that's not basically how you can, judge the black community. I can't say that my parents fit that percentage that he's talking about, but from what my father, what he told me was, he married my stepmom because he said that he didn't get a chance to marry my mom, and he had me. So when he had my little sister, he said, I want to remarry. Now, my mom, she just hasn't found anybody to remarry. She just been single most of her life. I mean, she dated and everything, but you know,
I got you, bro. I'm not trying to say that they fits every statistic, but
my stepmom is actually a few years older than my father. you know, so that's the funny thing. Like my stepmom and my father, they met. They was working at the post office together. And my mom, my stepmom, she was attracted to my father because he had a bald head, and she always would tell me that she reminded him of R. Kelly because she had a thing for R. Kelly back in the '90s and the early 2000s. So my stepmom, my dad was like, he's a handsome guy. He's a handsome guy, just like his son. So he got attention from women his age and even younger. But my stepmom, she was a little older, but she was coming to the job, feeding them, bringing them plates of food and everything like that, feeding them and everything. So, that's just that generation. You know what I'm saying? That's just that generation. It's like me right now. I'm 31. My wife is a little bit older than me. I'm 31 and I'm more mature for my age. You know what I'm saying? So
hey, but keeping it real, man, exactly what you just explained is what Kevin Samuels talks about. He said your father had options to either go younger or go
mhm.
old. He chose to go older. He chose which way to go. That's what Kevin Samuels said. But let's get up off of KS. You know what I'm saying? Let's get back to you, man.
Yeah, my mom, she was in radio. Um, I remember the first thing I remember, me and her, I was like 5 years old, and we did like radio skits together. You know, back in the day, you would listen to the AM radio set, and they would have like the radio commercials. There's a Pittsburgh shoe store called David's. No, it was called Sam Bostonian Shoe Store. It closed down. But that was like that, the urban place at that time, the little area where they were selling shoes like Timberlands and other stuff like that. So I remember I was like 5 years old, and I did a radio drop with my mom, and I was like, "Shoes, mom, I need shoes, shoes, I need shoes, mom." And she's like, "Kids, they always need shoes, this, that, and the third." So she was promoting the radio show. So that was like my first little time that I was actually on the mic, like in the media, But I always, just by me just learning what my mom was doing, in a radio station, she took me to the radio station. Like, she worked like every weekend. So I would get up, like, we would go there like 6 o'clock in the morning. She would be there from like 6 to 2. And I would be watching her do the radio stuff and the news side, the switchboards. Even when she was in the other radio station when I was a little younger, I see her, the slots, where you put the slots in the slots and you put the things, I was watching her doing all of that. So I was around radio for a long time, learning the ins and outs. Shout out to DJ Black Steel. He's a Pittsburgh DJ, prominent Pittsburgh DJ. The Saturdays where I was with my mom at the radio station, I would wake up from a nap. And when I would wake up from a nap, it was around like maybe like 11 or 12. And I would go down to the other end of the radio station, to the FM side, and kick it with DJ Black Steel as he's running the switch tables, in the radio, and he's playing the songs. And me and him, we would talk for hours, the whole shift. He would teach me about copyright forms and, certain things like that, and every time I see him, it's like, I look at him, I'll be like, yo, it's funny that you're looking at somebody who kind of helped mold who you're supposed to be. So when I'm saying that my father is the one that got me into hip hop and got me all the oldies and the music and the history of hip hop, and then you have a mother that's in the radio side, and then you bumping up with other people who's in the industry and they kicking game and they giving you game, it's not like a mystery that I would end up becoming somebody in the culture. It just wasn't by accident. It's like it's what they say, a village raised a child. You know what I'm saying? Rather, if they understood it or not, they was actually kicking game to me. And I took it for what it was, and I ran with it, and I'm the MC what I am now. It's like, just because you have a family, you could be in a community, you could be in a neighborhood, and you could have, your best friend's mom look out for you and everything like that. I remember going to the senior citizens place with my grandmother and chilling with her while she's with her other senior citizens place and her citizen people, and they giving me game. They talking to me. They doing this. They doing that. Hey, young man, this, that, and the third. So all of that things growing up, that's why I have an older mentality at 31, because ever since I was a real young kid, I had older people kicking game to me all my life. That's why I think a little different. That's why my music is a little different.
So you had a great family upbringing, better than most people, right? Let me ask you this, man. When did you decide that you wanted to be an artist?
It had to be around 2000, 2001. It was around 2000, between 2000 and like 2003. Like I said, my father always had me around hip hop growing up. Before I actually started becoming a rapper, there was like artists that I would listen to constantly. Like, I was a big Biggie fan, still am. I was a Shine fan, Little Kim fan, still am. Actually, Little Kim is one of my influences. Let's see, Cisco. I was a big Drew Hill fan. I liked Cisco back in the day, but it was really when I heard Eminem. When I watched Eminem on TRL with Carson Daly. You remember TRL with Carson Daly? You know what I'm saying? I would be at the senior citizens place with my grandmother, and they would have a lounge place, and they would have like a big full screen TV, and I would be in the lounge area watching TRL, and it had Carson Daly, and it had Eminem on it, and they played D12's Blue and Yellow Purple Pill. When I seen that music video made me look at music a little differently. Like, wow, look, that's interesting to me. And then after that, I automatically became an Eminem fan. Listening to songs like Guilty Conscience, listening to songs like Stan, listening to songs like The Real Slim Shady. Even his underground stuff.
Who are your top 5 rappers?
My top 5 rappers, it's hard. It's hard to say top 5 rappers because we could be all day naming all of the artists that I grew up listening to that I think is dope. But I tell you, the 5 artists that makes up the type of artist that I am today. Like if I actually said, we're gonna do a science experiment, and if we put, if we mix a little bit of elements of these 5 rappers, these will come up me. Those artists is Eminem, 50 Cent / G Unit, and when I mean G Unit, I mean 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks, Young Buck, Tony Yayo, and The Game. Even though The Game was an add-on, The Game too. LL Cool J, Little Kim, and DMX.
Let me ask you this: top 5 East Coast.
Top 5 East Coast. Ah, man. I don't know about top 5. There's a lot. you know, if, Man, if I gotta say number one, mm, first and foremost, if I ever say top number one of anything, and I talk about hip hop, especially East Coast, I would have to give it to DJ Kool Herc for even starting the culture. That's number one. If I have to say that, I have to say DJ Kool Herc. There wouldn't be no hip hop. There wouldn't be no 5 elements of hip hop without that man. So number one, great. When people say greatest of all time, people be talking about numbers. People be talking about rhymes. People be talking about album sales. How come nobody talk about the actual, number one, the founder of the culture, DJ Kool Herc? Because none of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
All right, so that's one.
Um, ah, that's one. Now the rest of them are more opinion. That was a fact. The DJ Kool Herc was a fact. The other one is just my opinion. I think the second East Coast MC, I would have to say, would have to be LL Cool J. The third one for me would have to be Queen Latifah. The fourth one for me would have to be Biggie. And then the fifth one, I would have to say Tupac. If anybody don't know, Tupac from the East Coast too. And that's just the starting 5 for me.
Man, that was great right there, because my next question was, who is your top 5 West Coast artists, bro?
Yeah, you can't. That's what I be trying, tell people. So you got to know the history, just because you seen Pac, throwing up the West Side. He was born on the East Coast, just like what he said before. All Eyes on Me was, a dedication to the whole East Coast. No, it was me against the world that he said. But my five West Coast, me personally, number one for me would have to be Ice Cube. For me, the second would have to be DJ Quick. The third would have to be, for me, I say the third would have to be Mr. Criminal. If people don't know who Mr. Criminal is, he's a Chicano rapper. If you don't know what Chicano rapper, Chicano is a word to describe Mexican American. Me, I feel that um I feel like Chicano rap today and even back then, even till today, I feel like Chicano rap is more hip hop than today's rap. Because you go to Cali and you go see how the Mexicans rap, they still riding on Lolos and 6'4s. You know what I'm saying? They still, wearing Chucks and Dickies. You know what I'm saying? They still keep it within that era where today's hip hop is men wearing skinny jeans and dresses, which is not hip hop at all. But I would have to give it to Mr. Criminal being the third. The fourth, I would have to say Snoop Dogg, and the fifth, for me, I would have to say The Game.
Let me say this real quick. You said something very important. You said Chicano artists, man. I just told somebody in another interview one of my favorite West Coast songs from back in the day was the "In Too Deep Back to the Hotel," man. That shit is a fucking West Coast classic. Shout out to those essays. Even though another essay just recently came out and said that he could not sign with a black person because of racial politics. He did just admit that. I think that was I forgot his name, man, but he just came out and that was a big story. I did a couple of videos about it, but I'm gonna get up off of that. All right, so tell us.
I know who you talking about. What people gotta realize is the Latino culture is large. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think that he was Chicano because Chicano means Mexican American. He could be from Guatemala, he could be from Panama, he could be from Bolivia, he could be from any other countries, but people, when they look at him, they automatically think Mexican. And I think that's stupid for somebody to say that they're not going to work with any artist, any black artist, or sign with a black label because of prison politics. Because for one, you can't. Then what are you in hip hop for? Hip hop was created by the so-called African Americans, Jamaicans, and Boricuas, Puerto Ricans. So if you're that much of against, that, then won't you just go into something else? Why you got to go into hip hop? That's one. Those are people who are just, they might have talent, but they'll never go anywhere because they're so street orientated that they're letting some other life control their business. You know what I'm saying? When you're a hip hop artist and when you decide to become a musician, you gotta leave that street shit alone. And a lot of people cross in, the street shit and the element shit and the industry shit because you got rappers who come from that element, or you got rappers who have family in that element and they bring that element into it. Which the street shit is a part of hip hop, but it's like, do you want to become? It's like where your goals. It's like where your goals is. If you want to just talk about, gangster shit and everything like that in your music and everything, if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. Go ahead and do that. But if you plan on having an actual lucrative business to where you want to become a rap mogul, you want to actually change lives from the people around you, from the ghetto to actually living good and actually prospering, a lot of that stuff you got to leave behind you because it's not going to be kosher when you get up and you start doing different things. You know what I'm saying? So people like that, I don't really take them serious as far as that, because like I said, my music, I'm trying to bring the black and brown people together. The black people who ain't down with the brown people who ain't down with the black people. We don't need y'all. Y'all are a distraction. Y'all gonna kill everything than anything. If anybody ever seen the movie Blood In, Blood Out, the guy Montana, the leader, Leonda, he said Chicanos killing Chicanos is what they want. Blacks killing Chicanos is what they want. It's all a part of the system. They want us to be at each other's throats. You know what I'm saying? We the same people. We can't be, me against you, you against, there's a bigger picture than that. And hip hop is the bigger picture. Hip hop is talking about bridging the gap and having people come together on some political things. We can't let the jail stuff sidetrack us. What? We trying to make a better life for the next generation. You know what I'm saying? My music, I'm trying to teach education. I want to teach history within my music. It's not hip hop.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro, man, that was wonderfully stated. I'm glad you said that, man, because that was to me. I'm like, why you not doing mariachi music? I don't give a fuck if you Mexican, Guatemala, none of that shit. When I'm on the West Coast, I see brown people. You know what I'm saying? It's just like they don't care if we from Africa or if we from fucking America. They see black people. You know what I'm saying? So it don't matter. Somebody got to put whoever is in charge of that shit in check.
Slavery didn't start in the U.S. Slavery actually started in Latin America. That's what a lot of people don't know. You know what I'm saying? It was the Spanish and the Portuguese that started the North African, the what do you call it? The North Atlantic slave trade. So when the biggest the biggest population of black people is in Brazil. Like when you have the if you look and you say, okay, what's the biggest population of black people next to Africa? Brazil is number one. Why? Why? Because the Portuguese during that time took African slaves and brought them there. The Spanish went to the Caribbean, dropped African slaves there. They went to Mexico.
I don't care about the history lessons, bro. I know what that man said. I know what goes on in California. So that's truth right there. That's facts for a black man right there. What I want to find out is about your music, man. So where you going to be 5 years from now, bro?
In 5 years, what I want to do is I want to teach the same knowledge that you would get from going to 2 years from associates or 4 years for a bachelor's, or if you decide to go on to grad school, the same amount of years and money that you would spend from going to college to receive a degree, you could listen to that same information you would get there to my music. 5 years, I want people, like when I was in college, they quoted Tupac in college. You know what I'm saying? They quoted Tupac lyrics. I want my music to be well respected to where I want to teach the next generation about where they come from and who they are and their ancestors and where they come from and where they going and how to prosper and how to become a better people to help their people through my music. We all learn through music. The first time we come out of mom's womb and everything and we start to talk and everything, they feed us A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is a part of actually communication, communicating with other people. So if we're learning A, B, C, D, E, F, G through communication, what do you think that a person like my music could offer to somebody who, let's say, needs help on, certain things on, certain part of life and everything? They can turn on one of my songs and they can get that same game.
All right, so do me a favor. Why don't you tell the people about your latest project and where they can find you?
My latest project, man, I released September 10th, man. It's called 1990-ish. It's so hip hop. I mean, it's so hip hop. Like, it's so hip hop. It makes you want to get a cardboard box and do handstands and kick handstands and make you want to move, on some real East Coast hip hop stuff. You can find that on my Spotify. Just hit me up, Rapstar, RAPSTA, follow that. Go on my YouTube page, Rapstar, RAPSTARRAKA, Hurricane Cam 412. You can find exclusive interviews, concerts. I even have links to like some of my old songs that I did way before I actually was like doing mixtapes, before I actually had my first single. I'm on Pandora, I'm on iHeart, I'm on iTunes, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Shazam, I'm on Alexa. Anywhere you have music media where you can download and listen and stream, I'm on it. You can find me on TikTok. Go to It's Rap to the Starr on TikTok. You find little videos that I've done because I do hip hop fashion. I collect hip hop clothes. So, I got a lot of them.
Hey, man, let me just say this. I heard your project. I really think you're a dope artist. Your whole concept of bridging the gap between Latinos and blacks, everything sounds fucking perfect, man. I hope it all works out, man. Even though I have an issue with the guy that said that back in California, I think that was a dumb thing to say. But guess what? We talking about him today. That shit was 3 months ago. You know what I'm saying? he did what he wanted to do. He started controversy, man. I want to wish you well, and I want everybody to check out your music, man, because guess what? You're a fly artist, man. You dope, man. You believe in the whole concept. You're from the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, 100 strong, 100 strong. Shout out to you, bro. And with that being said, I just want to say peace.
Mhm.